Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and I'm here on another Sunday night posting another plugin, as I so often do. So here's the deal. This is another kind of maintenance release, but I do think I'll be able to show you some interesting things about it anyhow. I've got RawTimbers for you, much like I had RawGlitters last week. I am working on other things, so we're not going to get a delay, but just so you know, I live in America and things are a little unsettled for us right now. So bear with me, bear with us, and I will try to keep things happening and keep some positivity and good energy going. For instance, let me not get into that just yet. On my Monday live streams, I can talk about some of the new stuff that I'm trying to do. But for now, this is RawTimbers. And it is a non-dither. By that I mean it is a dither style plugin, but it's using an unusual algorithm. And the algorithm is kind of like the one from the previous week, where rather than doing a real dithering, it does a bizarre calculation. Well, maybe not that bizarre. It does a calculation to figure out of the directions that the audio could truncate to go to a low bit type thing, like 24/16 or indeed DRes, which is a bit crusher. Which does it choose? Does it choose the one that will make the output brighter, or does it choose the one that will make the output darker? And RawTimbers was the original one of this type. Sorry, I had my hand covering the microphone there. RawTimbers is the original one where it's designed like a precursor to Airwindows Dark, which is the more well thought out and effective version of this. This is just on a micro scale. On any 3 sample range, it will pick the darkest possible sample between the samples around it. And what you get is like this. Here's 16-bit. Here's 24-bit. You can use it as a regular dither if you like. Or you can kick in DRes and use it as a bit crusher. The interesting thing about this one is we get a crazy background noise, much like with RawGlitters. Although you'll notice it does sound kind of more distant, even though it's still insane. But as we start including the music, listen to what's happening to the music here. That background stuff is bright because it's kind of like in TPDF it would be a white noise. This is not white noise, it's just a kind of roar. But we've made the audio dark as anything. Like, compare it with how bright that is. This is a real good example of what something like this can do. RawTimbers is the bit crusher that goes super, super dark. So what you can do is use this, and the reason it's sustaining so much is because we have the NV, which is a reverb in there. Without that, we're hearing kind of a background noisy effect. In fact, I think that is going to be what it is. Yeah, RawTimbers is giving me background noise, possibly because of the output of some plugin that's dithering to the floating point bus. So when we bit crush this to death, we get a very darkened signal and a bright noise in the background. So when we do something like, I think last time I did basses, if we've got just a bass, maybe I'll throw a guitar on. If we throw RawTimbers on this and bit crush it, hear how dark that got? So this might be a useful tool for people who are trying to, for instance, get a sort of low-bit drum tone. Check this out. Here we have, in fact, I can turn off some of these things to heighten the brightness off of those cymbals. If I turn the RawTimbers on in a low-bit context, we get a real grungy effect, but we're also getting a darkening effect as well. And it's notable when we're using D-res, but we're not using it real aggressively. For instance, if you're going to use it to resemble like a 16-bit sampler, but one that was not a bright sampler, one that was some kind of older hardware sampler that had a tone that you want to use, you might use RawTimbers, just set it to 16-bit or a little ways off 16-bit, and you will go from this tone, which is 24-bit, to this. And you might find that that is just a little subtle touch of what people often like to reach for when using hardware samplers. It's in a very subtle way, like 24, and then the very slightly low bit, and then darkened a lot more. But in this intermediate range, this is like maybe around 12-bit or 14-bit or something like that. This is giving you some of that tonality that you might be looking for out of something like that. Turn it back on again. And then let's turn it, well, hang on. Let's turn off these while we're at it. Have our sort of full brightness going on. And turn it on. It's a very subtle effect, but if you're going for a subtle low-bit quality, this might be the one that you want. More than the other ones, more than RawGlitters, this has just a hint of that darkening effect without getting too aggressive with it. And just for fun, let's make it do the same thing, but to the drums. I mean, to the guitars. .24-bit, 16. You'll notice it's just a little. And here's the interesting thing. Notice that it sits up a little bit, that it's just a little bit more forward and a little thin, a little bit more low bit. But this is a word length reducer. There's no boost in here. All it's doing is changing the way that it's handling stuff on the 16-bit level when set to 0 D-res. And it's only truncating up or down and choosing what it's doing around that, but you can plainly hear a slight difference in tone when we kick it in. 24-bit, 16-bit, 24, 16. And now let's low res it a little bit. More. And now we have a very, very low bit guitar sound. At the point that you start hearing that hissing in the background, that's where we're getting down into like the 1 or 2 bit range. And you can hear how much it's darkening the guitar. Got lots of brightness here, and then it just closes right in. And I think maybe we can even persuade it to gate for us a little. Or maybe not that much. Let's see what happens when we cut out some of these other plugins. Maybe not so much gating, but it is falling back into a noise effect at this super low bit quality. This is 1 bit. And then raw. So there you have it. Here, let me go back to my full screen. Yep. There you have it. Airwindows RawTimbers is a kind of maintenance update, although it is bringing some new qualities to the mix. It is, I think, the last, so far anyhow, of the dither-related stuff where I've added deres and the switch for the quantizer. That is a convenience feature that wasn't there before. And this is the same Dither Me Timbers algorithm that's in StudioTan. And I got into this quite a while ago, and it's the sort of the final follow-up, making all of these accessible in this way. And what makes this one interesting is that you can use it as the sort of hardware sampler style darken and bring stuff forwards a little bit kind of thing, rather than brightening like RawGlitters or whatever. It's going to enclose stuff in an interesting way. I'm tempted to demonstrate it even further, but I will fall short of that. I got other stuff to get into. For instance, like I said, I'm working on things like my hardware initiative, where I'm going to be teaching people how to build analog synthesizers and guitar stomp boxes, which is, I think, a very important point going forwards. And I'm expecting that to come more into focus in fall and especially winter. We can all like hole up, staying warm over soldering irons, and staying safe, not getting COVID-19, and building stuff. There are many possibilities to where we can go from here. But for now, where I will go from here is make some tacos, get some sleep, catch up with you guys for the Monday live stream, which is 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you very much. And it's nice to be able to make stuff for you. Oh, I'm supported by Patreon, blah, blah, blah. If you really want to know about that, you can look into my posts or whatever, and I will try to include that. That's just maybe. We have bigger things to think about right now. And one thing I'd like to think about is bringing some more tools to you in days that might not be very happy for you. and gearing up towards this like neat hardware thing that I'd like to move towards. But that's the story for another day. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.